What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Just wanted to bring you all another quick update before myself and the fam here at the Convo Couch hop back on later to give you other breaking news, election updates. So this morning, when I woke up here on the West Coast, I woke up to a very interesting update that Michael Bloomberg has dropped out of the 2020 race. This came after yesterday, where he said that he was going to reassess his campaign, which is actually kind of peculiar, right? He got delegates. He was going to be back on the debate stage. He even made some headway in areas he should not have made any headway in. You spend that much money, I guess that's what you should expect. In addition to that, he actually would have been, because I think that Elizabeth Warren's about to drop out, but he would have been right in line to win. It would have been him, Bernie, Biden, and Tulsi. So he would have had an even chance, probably an equal chance to Biden over time, right? Because of how much money he has to spend. He's an equal chance to Biden over time to win the nomination. But he just dropped out. I think that was stupid. I think that was idiotic. He should not have dropped out right now. I know that some people are probably like, well, those voters are going to go to Biden. We know we don't know, actually. We don't know what the hell Bloomberg's voters are doing. We do know that he was able to get a lot of votes because he was spending an obscene amount of money that could never be matched in areas that no one else could think to spend money in. He also hired a ridiculously expensive staff. I mean, they were good. Like, I don't believe that Biden's staff is good. I don't believe that Warren's staff is actually talented. I don't believe, obviously, that Kamala's staff, for example, was good. But when you face the reality that Michael Bloomberg was legitimately put in a position to be efficacious to even take votes away from, my tripod just started acting crazy. But he even was able to take votes from Elizabeth Warren in areas that nobody was expecting him to take votes from. And I would even probably venture to say that he took votes from both Bernie and Biden, because nobody was able to push back on him in every single area that he was able to reach ahead of this Super Tuesday, right? He, in my humble opinion, because by New Hampshire he had spent $200 million. By the end of Super Tuesday he had spent $500 million. Like, bruh, that is insane. And so we don't even know exactly, and we won't know until we go take a long, hard look through these exit polls. We won't know exactly what his demographic is. But we do know that a lot of Biden's people, their second choice was Bernie Sanders. We do know a lot of the younger people from Buttigieg, for example, their second choice is Bernie Sanders. Warren's people have been told the lie this entire time that Warren is the same as Bernie, just a woman and 8 years younger. That's the only thing that a lot of people have bought from Warren. And unfortunately, it's worked more effectively than people want to give it credit for. We've been talking about this. Fiorella did the moment we got back from the California Democratic the California Democratic Convention, Fiorella demanded that we sit here and do a video about how Warren is the most dangerous person to Bernie Sanders because she is here to spoil it for him. Ironically enough, I didn't hear people calling her the spoiler for the last year amongst progressives. Except for like the hardcore progressives who've been seeing through her since 2015. But everybody wanted to talk about the fact that Tulsi might be the spoiler for Bernie. And yet, here we are. Look at what we got. A lot of votes that went to Warren would have went to Bernie. A lot of votes that went to Buttigieg, young voters, would have went to Bernie. And Bloomberg got a weird combination of all of these things. But if you were looking to give the establishment a victory, why the hell would you drop out now, Bloomberg? You were slighted to win Florida. You were slighted to win Florida pretty handily. Like, he was demolishing even Joe Biden. He was demolishing even Joe Biden. Now, I don't know if Joe Biden will have the same type of prominence, but what I do know is that unless Joe Biden plans on spending that exact same, Joe Biden. Oh yeah, I guess unless Joe Biden spends the exact same amount of money as Mike Bloomberg, I don't see how he's going to do fare better in the polls in Florida than he did before Bloomberg entered the race, because it wasn't that close. I do know that is one of Bernie's, like, the South Florida area is one of Bernie's most popular areas, and we already know that, like, there were over 200,000 ballots destroyed in the largest voting precinct in Florida, one of the largest in the country, that likely had Bernie Sanders' name attached to it because those 200,000 ballots were all Tim Canova ballots. So if they voted for Tim Canova, who do you think they voted for in the presidential election? So we know that he's popular there. We also know that they have a new election supervisor in Broward that is under a magnifying glass right now after what Brenda Snipes did and she was forced to resign by the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis. And there are also two other election supervisors that were fired. So Florida's actually under a lot of scrutiny this go around that they had not been under previously, until they, of course, finally got caught in 2018 because of all the attention we brought to it, because of their election integrity issues. So you left before Florida, which has over 200 delegates. Bernie doesn't need to win Florida. I'm not even sure if Bernie was expecting to win Florida. However, he'll do much better now. He'll get a much higher percentage, I will say, than he would have if you would have stayed in the race. That was actually one of my biggest fears for Bloomberg. The one thing Biden was lacking was memory and infrastructure. Bloom said he will pay his staff through November. Biden will now get Bloom's infrastructure, right? I think that he'll get some of his infrastructure, but Bloomberg himself, first of all, let me be clear about something. I don't even know if it's actually legal for him to pay Biden's staff through September. I'm not sure that's legal. I think that that's actually breaking election integrity laws. Or campaign finance laws, excuse me. But if he pays Biden's staff, I'm not sure that matters all that much, because if Bernie can get the same amount of staff as Biden in any given area, which he can afford to do that, it's not even going to be close for the most part. Listen, y'all, they organize these states in this particular order for a reason. It's just that this isn't working out the way they thought it was going to work out. Kamala was still supposed to be here, which is another discussion for another video. Bloomberg was supposed to be more effective. He was slightly effective. Not as effective as I think they'd hope he'd be. Warren was supposed to be top two and take more votes from Bernie. Did not happen, but they did use another tactic, which I'll discuss in a different video. Buttigieg is supposed to still be here. Beto was supposed to still be here. Beto and Julian Castro were supposed to stop Bernie from winning Texas. Klobuchar was, however, successful in stopping Bernie from winning Minnesota, but not to the degree that they needed to in order to solidify that vote solidify the requisite delegates to be a big threat to Bernie after Super Tuesday. See, because the biggest problem for Bernie Sanders, a lot of people will say, they'll claim anyway, is that he has a problem with minority voters. No, he has a problem with two things. Older black conservative voters that are almost exclusively relegated to the firewall South that is now out of the way. I think that they have Georgia left, and that's it. We don't know how Georgia's going to go. But we also know on the other side of that fence that he's had trouble with the disenfranchisement of his actual young black Latino voter base. We also know that in white-dominated states, to keep it funky like a pair of gym socks, in white-dominated states, Bernie has actually always been really good. He's always done really, really, really well in those states. You have a lot of those states coming up, those populist states. You have Idaho coming up. You got, and Bernie won Utah, right? You got still Wyoming, Wisconsin. You still got a lot of states coming up. There's about over 500 delegates up for grabs, I believe, on the 10th. Michigan is one of those states. Actually, he's going to probably win Michigan. So Bloomberg dropped out, in my opinion. way, 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 way too early, in my humble opinion. And it's not going to help Biden as much as I think they'll think it will. Haven't there been a ton of FEC violations in this race? Didn't Trump gut the FEC? Seems like I don't think he actually has the capacity to gut the FEC, the election finance laws. Also, we need you to go on Rising with Crystal and Saga. Their coverage is lacking discussion of election integrity. I know, which is interesting because in Iowa they were pretty, Crystal at least was pretty clear that she believed that there was some chicanery afoot, right? She was pretty clear about that. But yeah, I mean that's another thing too, though. You're right. Maybe even if you don't want to have us, you got to have maybe Greg Palast on. Have somebody. If you don't want to have us, cool. I mean, it would be smart to have us on because at bare minimum have Pasta and Fiorella on, because look at everything they broke in L.A. And they were very clear that it was specifically L.A. County that we would have these issues. And we had all the issues in the California Democratic primary right here in L.A. County, around the corner from their houses, because they were out doing the hard work that no one else was willing to do. Bernie won California, and he looks like he's going to walk away with a huge amount of delegates. Guess what? He should be walking away with more. So that needs to be discussed much more often. Election integrity issues need to be discussed much more often, and we're gonna have to deal with the reality that Bernie. Sparky, thanks for the super chat. And Mrs. Blackout of Tulsi is a crime against humanity. 100% agree. But we do need to deal with the fact that there's this weird coincidence. Once again, it's always super coincidental. Bernie, every state and specifically every county that Bernie is pegged to win overwhelmingly, every single one of them, they have long lines. Are the major counties, right, that can allocate a lot of state delegates. They have long lines. They had lack of voting machines. They, the voting machines were broken, so they were giving out provisional ballots. The reality of the situation is that for Bernie Sanders, I can say confidently that even as we speak and he is just beating the hell out of everybody in California, he is still being cheated. We caught Fiorella wasn't even happy yesterday. Fiorella wasn't even excited because she's like, we won, but like, damn, Bernie should have. So our initial reports that we were getting back were saying that there was nobody else even within the 15% range. That's what we were getting from reports on the ground. However, that turned out to be true, except for at the very, they counted conservative counties first, and because L.A. County took so long, they're pushing this idea that that Biden was much more viable than he actually was. If you've noticed, Bloomberg has fallen out of the 15% range. Well, let me make sure that's still true. Let me make sure. I don't want to lie to you. At 79% reporting, yes, Bloomberg has officially fallen out of the 15% range. Although he got 14 delegates because he won some counties, likely some conservative counties, at 15%. He has fallen below the overall 15% range in California. So he wasn't even as effective as I think that he was hoping to be, although he got 14 delegates. But Bernie right now, you know how many delegates he has? He has 128. Oh, it just refreshed. He has 130 delegates from California right now, bro. Come on. Really? $500 million, bro? And you come away with 14% of the total vote? But let's go ahead and talk about something else, too, real quick before I go. We're going to address the fact that Mike Bloomberg spent over $500 million to campaign for one round of elections, one day of elections. You know how many mouths that could have fed? Do you know how many scholarships that could have bought for disenfranchised people? Do you know how many hospital bills you could have paid? Like, how many down ticket candidates, if you're actually progressive, which you're not, of course, but how many down ticket candidates you could have supported? How much infrastructure could we have built in communities that have been disenfranchised with that money. Flint and all of Michigan could potentially have clean water. But instead, once again, we saw another neoliberal oligarch blow through $500 million. What he did was worse than Hillary Clinton when it came to money. He didn't even really try to campaign and go to these states. Then he blew $500 million. He blew $500 million on one election, on one day. At least Hillary Clinton blew $1 billion and stayed in the race, although she didn't campaign in every state. But you blew $500 million for one day and dropped out. Bruh. It's crazy. It's crazy. We are nothing but a joke to the billionaires. $500 million on a damn vanity project. For what? All right. But overall, Bloomberg dropping out is great. We predicted it yesterday. We know he threw his weight behind Biden. We knew he was going to. And I'm glad. I'm glad he's showing who he is. It's crazy, right? Everybody was talking about how racist Bloomberg is. And they're all joining together to endorse Biden, the segregationist, who created the Biden 94 crime bill that he won't apologize for. Oh, yeah, it's like that. To hell with black people. That's what the Democratic Party's motto is. It's after Super Tuesday. Black votes don't matter anymore. The young black vote, which is still out there to win, it does not matter. It does not matter if we were disenfranchised. It doesn't matter if communities of color were disenfranchised systematically yesterday during Super Tuesday. It doesn't matter anymore because they got the results they wanted. God forbid a Republican gerrymander a district, though, right? We never stop hearing about it because only the Republicans who engage in voter suppression. At least that's what we're told anyway. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.